President Trump is slamming U.S. allies for failing to help secure the Strait of Hormuz. He posted this message on social media, writing, quote, "You'll have to start learning how to fight for yourself. The USA won't be there to help you anymore, just like you weren't there for us." Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth doubled down on the sentiment in a press briefing this morning.
There are countries around the world who ought to be prepared to step up on this critical waterway as well. It's not just the United States Navy. Last time I checked, there was supposed to be a big bad Royal Navy that could be prepared to do things like that as well.
CBS News senior White House correspondent Weijia Jiang joins us now. So, Weijia, you actually spoke to the president this morning about the war in Iran. What did he have to share?
That's right, Kelly. I called him because I was looking for some clarification about that Truth Social post that he posted about the Strait of Hormuz, in which he, just like we heard from Secretary Hegseth, was really going after allies and expressing a fresh round of frustration. But it made it sound like the U.S. could leave, because he said, "You'll have to start learning how to fight for yourself. The USA won't be there to help you anymore, just like you weren't there for us." So I asked him whether that meant that the U.S. would start pooling assets in and around the strait. And the president told me not yet. He said that the U.S. would be there, but again said that, it's not the U.S. that really needs this oil that is going through there, but allies and other countries, which, of course, for weeks now, he has been calling on them to apply more resources to try to secure the strait. But he said, "I am not a gatekeeper for them. They weren't there for us." And added that at some point the U.S. will leave, but not quite yet, basically saying that, if these countries want the oil, they're going to have to come in and eventually do their own work. He did not give a timeline for how long the U.S. would remain in and around that strait, though. Of course, the reason why that matters is because the oil that is trying to get through there impacts the entire global supply of oil and gas prices, which includes the now $4 a gallon average here at home. And I asked the president about that as well. He says that the prices will go down when the war is over. But obviously, this is a huge concern, not only for the president, but for many Republicans as they are eyeing that critical November date for midterm elections. We'll have to see what the next move is here. But as far as the strait goes, that is what the president said about U.S. involvement.
And Weijia, we've also seen this morning the president via Truth Social directly criticize France, writing that it has been very unhelpful in relation to the war. Around this time yesterday, we spoke with a French minister and we asked her why her nation has decided not to help secure the Strait of Hormuz with the U.S. Let's just quickly play for our viewers what she said.
Our intention is that we can resume as soon as possible trade, but we need to do it once we can secure the situation and ensure that we are defensive, not offensive. We do not want to enter into a war without a framework, without a sort of certain guarantees, and this is why we might seem skeptical, but our intention is really to protect our citizens.
And she also mentioned there are some 400,000 French nationals in the region that they want to protect. So based on your conversation with the president this morning, you've covered him for many years. You can kind of read between the lines sometimes and understand his tone. What do you think about his frustration with allies like France, and why is he choosing today to lash out?
I did ask him, Errol, did something happen that triggered this post about the allies? And he didn't answer it explicitly, but he just went on to complain about how they were not there for the U.S. And he also mentioned NATO, and that NATO has also been, quote, terrible. The difference, though, Errol, is that, and this is something that the Secretary of State has brought up as well, which is, look, we were there for the Ukraine-Russia war, and that's not our war. The difference is that the U.S. is a member of NATO, and so that is why it is involved with that war, because, obviously there are interests there to ensure or try to ensure Russia does not strike a NATO ally, because that would pull the U.S. into that conflict. What we're hearing from the French here and from other allies with regard to the Iran war is that we didn't start this. We didn't have anything to do with this war. In fact, we were not even given a heads up that the U.S. was going to strike. So that's why they say now they shouldn't have to be involved with the cleanup and with getting potentially, pulled in to that conflict. But the president clearly views it differently because, he says this does impact those countries and therefore they should be helping to try to secure the strait. What I got overall, Errol, was just a sense of readiness from the president to find a way out of this thing because he understands that time is ticking. I asked him for a fresh date about when the war might end, and he said that the administration was 2 weeks ahead of schedule. But remember, he set the schedule of 4 to 6 weeks from the very beginning of how long this could go on, and we are now in week 5, Errol.
It appears the U.S. is looking for some kind of off-ramp. Weijia Jiang with the latest on her conversation with President Trump. Weijia, thank you.